Good morning, everybody. One of the things that I get asked a lot about is doing ferments when you're going to be doing, let me adjust that there, when you're going to be doing a whiskey ferment. And it's been about a year and a half since I did one, and I thought today would be a great chance to do an update here. And because today I will be starting fresh, in other words, my backset in the still. Well, let's go out here today and take a look, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Got the fermenting barrel there. And the issue I have here is we still have some ferment in here. It's actually left from October. So I don't want to use that to make a new ferment. So what I've decided to do is drain all that off, clean out the still real good, and then start fresh and make a new batch of ferment. Now, one of the issues with doing a new batch of ferment, of course, is we step over to the fermenting barrel here. One of the issues of doing a new ferment is you don't have backset to use. So, to get the acidic level, the acid level right, the pH, to move it from alkaline, and we have fairly hard calcium water here in Northern California out of my well. To move it to the acidic side where we have a low pH down around 5, 6, something in that range, which ferments and yeast really like, I'm going to go ahead and use a couple teaspoons of citric acid in there, and that should do the trick to bring the acid levels up. Now, since it's the first ferment of the season without the backset, the fermentation's going to be, I hope it's going to go good, but you never know. And you know, it certainly won't have the depth of flavor that the next ferment will have when we use the backset, or what's left over in the still after doing a run, as part of 1/3 of the base of the next ferment. So I have some stuff in the car. I'm going to grab that. I've got the all grain feed, the cobs, corn, oats, barley with molasses. They call it cobs, the sweet. And then I also have some sugar. So I'm going to go grab that stuff. We've got a barrel to clean, so let's get cracking. So here's what I use, and everybody can do it a little differently. It just depends on what your taste is. My favorite ferment is rye because it gives a spiciness to it. But this stuff is great for all grain. It's called the cob with molasses, and it has a little dried molasses bits in it. It's really nice to use, and we'll end up using about I guess we'll use about 10 pounds of grain, and we'll get it boiling in the water on the stove there. We'll get the big brew kettle going. We'll get that going. And then, of course, we have 50 pounds of sugar, and for a 25-gallon ferment, we'll use 2 pounds of sugar per gallon. So, yeah, the next thing that I have to do, guys, is go inside here and get the still cleaned up. And man, I hate doing that stuff, but got to drain it off and got to get her gone. So let me get on that. Okay, guys, while I'm doing the cleanup work, I thought I would get the water boiling, and this holds about 5 gallons. I'm going to get about 4 gallons boiling on the stove. And we're going to do an all grain ferment. You got to make sure you don't start with cold water and then put your grains in. What usually happens is they'll all stick on the bottom and scorch, and if you get the slightest little scorching on your ferment, it tastes like hell. Okay, it tastes like burnt socks or burnt tennis shoes. So, not that I eat them, but I'm going to go ahead now and fill this up with about 3.5 gallons of well water. And if you're going to use city water that's chlorinated, let it sit for a couple days before you use it to get rid of the chlorine. That stuff's real nasty when it comes to ferment. That should about do it. And always make sure boil your water first before you add your grains. And I'm going to be using 10 pounds or 1/5 of the bag over there for the all grain feed. I'm going to be using 10 pounds and adding it in there. So all right, I'm going to take it in and get it on the boil. Alright, well what I ended up doing, I had to take that off. The grain clog was so bad. Yeah, I got a little bit of spillage on the floor, but it's okay. This will give it a chance to really get the water now. Grab the hose here and really get her sprayed out good inside. Alright, you probably can't see inside real well, but it is really clean. So I'm very happy about that. I got the other components cleaned outside. Yeah, it should be good to go with the plates and things. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall that now. And then put the, I guess before I put it on, I'll put the extra 2 plates on. Water's coming to a good boil here. And remember, always boil your water first. Then the grains will not stick. Don't ask me why. Whenever I've done it with cold, it was the best suggestion the boss made to me, was to make sure when you're doing the grains, to make sure you boil your water first and then add. So I'm going to run outside real quick, grab the grains. It's going to take about 3 of these bad boys, 2.5, 3 to fill it up. Each one is about 3-4 pounds. So I'm going to go grab the sweet feed. I'll be back in a minute. You got to be careful with this grain because rats really like this too. And you can see the consistency of it. It's really kind of nice. And I've eaten it before. I think it would make a really nice breakfast cereal. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, eh? Make sure you have your stirring spoon too, okay? Just scooping out the first bucket to add here of that, and that's going to blow up a little bit, you know, foam up a little bit when you add it. Got to figure out where I put my stirring stick, so I will be right back. Found it! Woohoo! So now I'm going to go ahead and get number 2. Get this baby down and all that grain goodness. Oh! All that sweet molasses. Oh, there's the Mandy. You like the smell of that, eh? And that's going right in the pot. And that's number 2. And be careful. That's going to foam up on you. I temporarily just turned the heat off to let that absorb really good, and then all we have to do is bring that up to a good boil, and this is really going to thicken nice. Since it's the first ferment of the year, I'm going to add 3 of these. It'll be about 12 to 14 pounds of grain. You don't have to be precise. The more you have, the more flavor, but you're giving up volume for that. So, and the sugar is really the thing that's going to give you your ethanol. This is just for flavoring. So give that a good stir, and that's real nice. I'm going to let that settle in real good, and that should be enough grains to let it go. So I'll check back with you. I'm going to let it set for about 10 minutes just to absorb some moisture, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring it up to a boil and then turn it off and let it just sit there for an hour while I get the rest of this stuff done. Alright, well, she's thickened up real good, guys. That's exactly what you want. You want these grains to be absorbing a lot of that water. You can see the taking on a really nice brown flavors. That molasses gives a little bit of sweetness to it. Yeah, that's just out of sight. That's looking good. So I'm going to pull it up to a boil and then let it sit a while longer as it keeps absorbing more and more water here. Yeah, it's looking good, huh? Just the way I like it. Puff those grains up and get them to open and release all that goodness. The yeast just absolutely love to feed on that. All right, so we're gonna bring it up to the boil, and then we're gonna move the operation to the outside again. Yeah. Yum yum. I tell you, this stuff make a hell of a breakfast cereal. If it's good enough for the horses, good enough for me. You put a little bit of sugar on that, man. That's like uptown, baby. Breakfast of champions. Well, she's now reached a boil. Make sure to stir real good. I'm now going to turn her off and let her set a while. Go clean out the fermenting barrel and keep chooching on the show here. Yeah, I know, guys. The tires are flat every time I go to use this dolly. Same old shit, man. It's only a short one. This is the worst. This is the worst fucking part of fermenting, is cleaning the fermenting barrel. It's like building the pyramids, guys. Oh. Might help to inflate the tires, right? What fun would that be? Hosed out, we'll get her scrubbed down real good on the outside there. Whew. Super clean, huh? Looking good. Got all those grains out, and they make a really good fertilizer mixed in over here with the wood ash and stuff. So yeah, let's get the barrel back in position, and let's get the grains in the bottom of it. Bucket. I'll let you take a look at it. I'll take it off the tripod for a minute. You can see all that good lusciousness in there. Go ahead and get another pot full, and I'll add water to the big pot also to help grease it a little bit if it gets a little sticky. So just kind of plunge that down and let those babies go down good. So it's going to take a little time to get them in there. Just make sure your barrel is nice and clean. All right. Looking good, huh? Oh yeah. Backset. 5 gallons of Backset. Usually I use 8 on the 25 gallon. Because this stuff is old, I took the best cut of the Backset here, so it should be all make a great ferment. And I'll skip the bottom a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the stirring stick and give her a good stir in the bottom. It's time to go ahead and add your sugar, guys. Be careful. 50 pounds. Make sure your funnel is dry. It helps a lot. Otherwise you create a bit of friction on it. And it makes it a lot slower for the sugar to go down. And this is a 50-pound bag, so it's a lot to burl around here. But I get her done. Ooh, been doing this a lot of years. This is like your rocket fuel, a real nice yield. Real moonshiners don't take time cracking grains and doing all that crap. They grab the sugar, baby. Grab that sugar. Whew. There, I got about 5 more pounds to go. Ooh. Alright, and that's it, guys. You want to make sure to clean the area real good. You don't want a lot of ants and shit around. So I'm going to add a little bit of water on top of that now. Just to help initially dissolve that. Already those grains are cooling down. You have to be very careful to make sure the grains are cooled down before you add your yeast bomb to it. So many people kill their yeast right off the bat and wonder why they don't get any kind of ferment. So let's stir this a little bit now. Nice strong stirring stick here. Momentum going, but I'm sure you don't mind. Right, now I'm going to go inside and prep the yeast bomb, and that's a very important part of topping it up now. So we're going to grab our yeast. We're going to get a cup of yeast and our saucepan and some sugar. Normally I use some Backset also to help the yeast bomb, but today I don't really have any extra. So let's head inside. Ooh, now it's time to go ahead and add your sugar, guys. Be careful. 50 pounds. Make sure your funnel is dry. It helps a lot. Otherwise, you create a bit of friction on it, and it makes it a lot slower for the sugar to go down. And this is a 50-pound bag, so it's a lot to burl around here. But I get her done. Ooh, been doing this a lot of years. This is like your rocket fuel. A real nice yield. Real moonshiners don't take time cracking grains and doing all that crap. They grab the sugar, baby. Grab that sugar. Whew. There, I got about 5 more pounds to go. Ooh. Alright, and that's it, guys. You want to make sure to clean the area real good. You don't want a lot of ants and shit around. So I'm going to add a little bit of water on top of that now, just to help initially dissolve that. Already those grains are cooling down. You have to be very careful to make sure the grains are cooled down before you add your yeast bomb to it. So many people kill their yeast right off the bat and wonder why they don't get any kind of ferment. So let's stir this a little bit now. Nice strong stirring stick here. Momentum going, but I'm sure you don't mind. Alright, now I'm going to go inside and prep the yeast bomb, and that's a very important part of topping it up now. So we're going to grab our yeast. We're going to get a cup of yeast in our saucepan and some sugar. Normally I use some Backset also to help the yeast bomb, but today I don't really have any extra. So let's head inside. We are back in the kitchen, and I'm just taking a little bit of well water and about 3 tablespoons of sugar, and I put it in a medium saucepan, and I'm waiting for that to just get warm. In the meantime, let's talk about yeast. Some people wondered about Red Star active dry yeast, where you can get it, what it costs. In your city or town, any place you have restaurants, you're going to have a restaurant supply house, a grocery place that specializes in supplying the restaurant trade, bulk quantities and stuff. Well, most of them, especially if you're going to be baking bread in restaurants and rolls, they're going to use Red Star yeast. This stuff kicks ass from about 50 degrees up to about 110 degrees. This yeast is excellent. I've used the EC1118, all the crazy, yeah, that's warming up. All the about 100 degrees, all the fancy yeast, the expensive turbo yeast. In my opinion, it's just crap, okay? And I don't care what people talk about flavor or this stuff. They're talking out their ass when they talk about that. You want a good full ferment, and to get that, I wish these things were easier to open. You can probably buy the Red Star yeast online too. I paid about $5 for 2 pounds. at the restaurant supply place. Incredible pricing. So let's get this open here. And I need to fill up this jar again. And then I'll store the extra for regular baking in the fridge. And now I'm going to go ahead, the water's really at a good temperature. I'm going to go ahead and add a cup of the Red Star yeast. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I find a cup for us is perfect for 25 gallons. So, you know, if you're doing 5 gallons, maybe a quarter of a cup, you know, you'll build your yeast colonies better to a point. But beyond that, it doesn't serve much purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and stir that in and let that yeast get activated. It'll take a little bit of time, but they'll enjoy the warm water here along with the little bit of sugar in there. And after about 15 minutes or so, you'll find it gets very frothy and very bubbly and very creamy on top. So make sure you work all that goodness down in there. All right, so we'll put this in the both of these back in the fridge. We got some for next time. Okay, and then we got stuff for regular baking too. So I try to keep the stuff in a jar, good and dry, for the fermenting. So yeah, Red Star yeast, guys, it is the bomb. Okay, so I'm gonna let that foam away. See you outside. Guys, while the yeast bomb, trying to get some of the sugar and stuff off the top of this can, the top of this fermenting barrel here. I don't want to have, sometimes you can have a real ant probe. So I'm looking, I have a mark on the barrel here, the 26 gallon mark that I want to look for here. Did I put it on the side? Find that. Somewhere over here. I've got that mark. It didn't come off scrubbing. It might have. But yeah, I see it kind of scratched in here. Yeah, there it is. I think that's it on the side. I'll turn it a little more just to be sure. Yeah, I think that's it. So, yeah, good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill it right up to the 26 gallon mark here. Then we'll go ahead and we'll add our yeast bomb. All I use is just went to an aquarium supply place for tropical fish and just got a inexpensive pump, and I put an air stone on the end of it, and you can see her in there probably bubbling away merrily down there, and that's what I want for about the next 6 hours or so. Real easy, but boy does it make a difference. Thanks for being along today, guys. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work too, but it's one of the things that I'm really proud of, that of all the hundreds and hundreds of gallons that I have fermented over the years, it's finally reached a point where I have a certain comfort level established with doing the ferments. Just remember the things we talked about here and the importance of using Backset, particularly when you're making whiskey. All the distillers use sour mash because they found out that using some of what's left over in that still pot to make a new fermented whiskey adds great flavor, and it ensures that you have a really good ferment. You want every bit of the 50 pounds of sugar in there, plus whatever starches were released by the grains that we cooked, to be totally consumed by the yeast and converted into ethanol. All right, It's fun. Moonshining can be a blast, but it can also be a drag too when it's not done right. I'm going to say one last word too about yeast. Don't get caught up in the yeast wars about the turbo yeast and oh, this will yield 20% and that. Nonsense. You're not in for production records and all that. You're in to make a great tasting whiskey or a great tasting white dog. Don't worry about the crazy yields. If you get 10, 12, 15%, pat yourself on the back. You've done a great job. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you when this hits the still. Thanks.